All right. Well, Automatic Duck has been working very hard on a lot of. Well, as you know, Automatic Duck makes timeline translation tools to get edited sequences between Final Cut Pro, Avid, After Effects, Quantel systems, Pro Tools, and more. And we've been hard at work on a lot of exciting new functionality and some upcoming releases. But because we make plugins that are dependent on host editing applications. When other editing applications haven't yet been announced, we aren't able to announce our plugin that might fit into that thing. So we're kind of a bit waiting on somebody else to make an announcement later this week.
I wonder who that could be.
Yeah, it's a big mystery right now.
Yeah, I don't know.
But we've been really hard at work, and we are really excited about some of what we're doing to improve the integration between Final Cut Pro and Avid. You wouldn't I think one of the things that's really exciting about what Automatic Duck has done over the last 10 years is raise people's expectations about interchange, that in such a way that I find people ask us questions, when they have a product question, where they basically imagine that Final Cut and Avid are now completely interchangeable and that they can work together very well. And I think because we've raised that expectation because of the success of our products. But there are so many differences between those platforms that true interchangeability isn't quite there yet. But we're about to make some great strides to make it even more round-trippable and interchangeable and collaborative back and forth between Final Cut Pro and Avid. So we're really excited about some of the stuff we've got coming up in the next couple of months. That's kind of a lot of the feedback we get from users these days is just like, I want to log in Final Cut and then edit in Avid. And that's just such a strange concept that 10 years ago nobody would have even considered that you could interchange your NLEs that way. But it seems like, A, we've made it possible, but B, we're about to make that even more real world possible. And we're really excited about the stuff we're working on.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about, stereo is a big deal here at the show. At least it's being chatted about. I mean, what have you heard from people working in stereo? Is there any specific needs that they're asking from you, or anything like that?
Stereo has not really impacted our world too much. I think only because in editorial, often it's the editing system doesn't really know about stereo. It just sort of deals with the clips, and the stereo-ness is handled by the codec or something later in the process. So, that isn't really affecting us very much. We don't pay attention to stereo because it's not something that's real in our world. But we're continuing to, another new thing is After Effects CS 5.5 was just announced. So we're going to be putting out an update for our After Effects plugin, which is very popular to get from Avid in Final Cut into After Effects. We'll be updating that in the next month so that it's CS 5.5 compatible. It's going to be a free update for our users. So we're just, we're sort of building on the foundation that we have always had, making things work better and more seamlessly between the products. The world today is not a either or NLE situation. You cannot be just Avid or just Final Cut or just Premiere. I mean, and besides, everything is so cheap. There's no reason you wouldn't just have them all. So we're just happy to be a part of that world where everything's converging and becoming just one big happy family in digital post.
Well, Mark Loftus.
Just one question I had was. The acquisition formats, is that something that the host developers have to deal with and not so much you, or is that something that you're dealing with yourself? All these different digital acquisition formats, is that Avid's responsibility and Final Cut's responsibility, Apple, or does it influence you from a development standpoint at all?
That's a good question. In a lot of ways, it does not impact us because the NLE is the first. Since we're a plugin that lives in the NLE, we don't get used until a little bit later, after the edit has been done, at least somewhat, maybe even completed. So the NLE has already done whatever it's going to do to that media to make it usable, to make it editable. So we don't really have to really worry about what that acquisition format was. Now, there are some interesting challenges that proxy workflows and red media and other types of digital tapeless formats introduce, that we are trying to figure out how we can make the workflows even better. So I think some of the improvements we have in our next release will make tapeless workflows even better, but we still don't really care too much about the acquisition format. Once it's in the NLE, it usually becomes a file format that we can just read, and we don't have to worry about it too much. Yeah. So.
All right, I think that's it. Congratulations on 10 years.
Thank you. It's been quite a ride for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll be right back.